unless they're incompetent, the uselessness of predictions based on previous experience. Black swans are events or pieces of knowledge that sit outside our regular expectations and therefore cannot be predicted. This is a crucial concept in negotiation. In every negotiating session, there are different kinds of information. There are those things we know, like our counterpart's name and their offer and our experiences from other negotiations. These are known knowns. There are those things we are certain that exist, but we don't know, like the possibility that the other side might get sick and leave us with another counterpart. Those are known unknowns, and they are like poker wild cards. You know they're out there, but you don't know who has them. But most important are those things we don't know that we don't know, pieces of information we've never imagined, but that would be game-changing if uncovered. Maybe our counterpart wants the deal to fail because he's leaving for a competitor. These unknown unknowns are black swans. With their known knowns and prior expectations so firmly guiding their approach, Van Zandt and really the entire FBI were blind to the clues and connections that showed there was something outside of the predictable at play. They couldn't see the black swans in front of them. I don't mean to single out Van Zandt here. He did all of law enforcement a service by highlighting this event, and he told me and a room full of agents the story of that horrible June day during a training session at Quantico. It was an introduction to the suicide by cop phenomenon, when an individual deliberately creates a crisis situation to provoke a lethal response from law enforcement, but there was an even greater lesson at stake. The point of the story then, and now, was how important it is to recognize the unexpected, to make sure things like Moore's death never happen again. On that day in June 1981, O'Brien kept calling the bank, but each time the bank employee who answered quickly hung up. It was at that moment they should have realized the situation was outside the known. Hostage takers always talked because they always had demands. They always wanted to be heard, respected, and paid. But this guy didn't. Then midway through the standoff, a police officer entered the command post with the news that a double homicide with a third person critically wounded had been reported a few blocks away. Do we need to know this? Van Zandt said. Is there a connection? No one knew or found out in time. If they had, they might have uncovered a second black swan. That Griffin had already killed several people without making monetary demands. And then, a few hours in, the hostage taker had one of the hostages read a note to the police over the phone. Curiously, there were no demands. Instead, it was a rambling diatribe about Griffin's life and the wrongs he'd endured. The note was so long and unfocused, it was never read in its entirety. Because of this, one important line, another black swan, wasn't registered. After the police take my life. Because these black swans weren't uncovered, Van Zandt and his colleagues never saw the situation for what it was. Griffin wanted to die, and he wanted the police to do it for him. Nothing like this, a shootout on a deadline, had ever happened to the FBI. So they tried to fit the information into what had happened in the past, into the old templates. They wondered, what does he actually want? After scaring them for a bit, they expected Griffin to pick up the phone and start a dialogue. No one gets killed on deadline. Or so they thought. Uncovering unknown unknowns. The lesson of what happened at 3 p.m. on June 17th, 1981 in Rochester, New York, was that when bits and pieces of a case don't add up, it's usually because our frames of reference are off. They will never add up unless we break free of our expectations. Every case is new. We must let what we know, our known knowns, guide us, but not blind us to what we do not know. We must remain flexible and adaptable to any situation. We must always retain a beginner's mind, and we must never overvalue our experience or undervalue the informational and emotional realities served up moment by moment in whatever situation we face. But those were not the only important lessons of that tragic event. If an over-reliance on known knowns can shackle a negotiator to assumptions that prevent him from seeing and hearing all that a situation presents, then perhaps an enhanced receptivity to the unknown unknowns, can free that same negotiator to see and hear the things that can produce dramatic breakthroughs. From the moment I heard the tale of June 17th, 1981, I realized that I had to completely change how I approached negotiating. I began to hypothesize that in every negotiation, each side is in possession of at least 3 black swans, 3 pieces of information that, were they to be discovered by the other side, would change everything. My experience since has proven this to be true. Now I should note here that this is not just a small tweak to negotiation technique. It is not coincidence that I embraced Black Swan as the name of my company and the symbol of our approach. Finding and acting on black swans mandates a shift in your mindset. It takes negotiation from being a one-dimensional move-counter-move game of checkers to a 3-dimensional game that's more emotional, adaptive, intuitive, and truly effective. Finding black swans is no easy task, of course. We are all to some degree blind. We do not know what is around the corner until we turn it. By definition, we do not know what we don't know. That's why I say that finding and understanding black swans requires a change of mindset. You have to open up your established pathways and embrace more intuitive and nuanced ways of listening. This is vital to people of all walks of life, from negotiators to inventors and marketers. What you don't know can kill you or your deal. But to find it out is incredibly difficult. The most basic challenge is that people don't know the questions to ask the customer, the user, the counterpart. Unless correctly interrogated, most people aren't able to articulate the information you want. The world didn't tell Steve Jobs that it wanted an iPad. He uncovered our need, that black swan, without us knowing the information was there. The problem is that conventional questioning and research techniques are designed to confirm known knowns and reduce uncertainty. They don't dig into the unknown. Negotiations will always suffer from limited predictability. Your counterpart might tell you, it's a lovely plot of land without mentioning that it is also a Superfund site. They'll say, are the neighbors noisy? Well, everyone makes a bit of noise, don't they? When the actual fact is that a heavy metal band practices there nightly. It is the person best able to unearth, adapt to, and exploit the unknowns that will come out on top. To uncover these unknowns, we must interrogate our world, must put out a call and intensely listen to the response. Ask lots of questions. Read non-verbal clues and always voice your observations with your counterpart. This is nothing beyond what you've been learning up to now. It is merely more intense and intuitive. You have to feel for the truth behind the camouflage. You have to note the small pauses that suggest discomfort and lies. Don't look to verify what you expect. If you do, that's what you'll find. Instead, you must open yourself up to the factual reality that is in front of you. This is why my company changed its format for preparing and engaging in a negotiation. No matter how much research our team has done prior to the interaction, we always ask ourselves, why are they communicating what they are communicating right now? Remember, negotiation is more like walking on a tightrope than competing against an opponent. Focusing so much on the end objective will only distract you from the next step, and that can cause you to fall off the rope. Concentrate on the next step because the rope will lead you to the end as long as all the steps are completed. Most people expect that black swans are highly proprietary or closely guarded information, when in fact the information may seem completely innocuous. Either side may be completely oblivious to its importance. Your counterpart always has pieces of information whose value they do not understand. The 3 types of leverage. I'm going to come back to specific techniques for uncovering black swans, but first I'd like to examine what makes them so useful. The answer is leverage. Black swans are leverage multipliers. They give you the upper hand. Now, leverage is the magic word, but it's also one of those concepts that negotiation experts casually throw about but rarely delve into, so I'd like to do so here. In theory, leverage is the ability to inflict loss and withhold gain. Where does your counterpart want to gain, and what do they fear losing? Discover these pieces of information, we are told, and you'll build leverage over the other side's perceptions, actions, and decisions. In practice, where our irrational perceptions are our reality, loss and gain are slippery notions, and it often doesn't matter what leverage actually exists against you. What really matters is the leverage they think you have on them. That's why I say there's always leverage. As an essentially emotional concept, it can be manufactured whether it exists or not. If they're talking to you, you have leverage. Who has leverage in a kidnapping? The kidnapper or the victim's family? Most people think the kidnapper has all the leverage. Sure, the kidnapper has something you love.
Hey everyone, Brad Callen here, and I just want to share with you something I'm really excited about that's going to help take your doodle videos to that next level. It's called the Doodly Elite Masterclass. It was created by award-winning doodler Pamela Dimmick. Now, many of you probably know Pamela already from our Doodly Design Facebook group, as she's a frequent contributor there. She's also the only doodler user who's received multiple video awards from the annual Doodly Design Contest. Bottom line, she really knows her stuff, and because of that, it was a no-brainer to invest in the creation of the Doodly Elite Masterclass. Now, in the Masterclass, Pamela shows you how to create super professional videos using all the advanced tips and tricks that would take most people months and maybe even years to uncover on their own. And I'm actually kind of embarrassed to admit, but even I learned things that you could do with Doodly that I had no idea you could do. These tips are going to help you create videos that are more professional, more visually stimulating, and far more engaging to your prospects, meaning they'll be shared more often, watched longer, and ultimately they're going to get you much better results. So let me tell you what you can expect from the course. Well, first off, it's not going to bore you with the basics. You can find all that stuff for free by checking out the Doodly tutorials that are already online. Instead, this course picks up where those tutorials left off, teaching you the most advanced training methods that you can use for creating absolutely incredible videos. And although the training methods are advanced, you'll find them very easy to follow because Pamela walks you through step by step through every single thing she does. Now, another reason you're going to love the course is because Pamela's devised all kinds of time-saving ways to do things using Doodly. With the course, you're basically being given the opportunity to peek over her shoulder so you can watch an expert doodler show you the best workarounds for stuff that very few people know about. So let me tell you what you're going to get inside the Doodly Elite Masterclass. Well, it consists of 25 videos divided into 7 modules that get progressively more advanced as you move forward throughout the course. The first module is an intro to get everybody up to speed and on the same page, and after that you're going to begin the Asset Management module. This module creates a solid foundation for what's to come later. Now, this is where you're going to learn everything that you need to know about managing assets and creating complex scenes. So for example, by timing characters and props to appear in a video at just the right moment so they correspond with your voiceover. Now, once you finish that, you're ready to move on to the backgrounds, sidebars, borders, and frame modules. These elements are crucial for making your videos really pop. So in this module, you're going to learn how to make a background or logo appear in every scene. You'll also learn fading techniques that you can use to lighten or darken a background sky, for example. Plus, you're going to discover how to create borders, frames, and sidebars to make your videos way more visually appealing. Now, the next module is asset sourcing, where you're going to learn how to source and create your own graphics, even if you can't draw a stick figure. Pamela is going to teach you several ways, both free and paid, for finding characters, props, and even chalkboard images that you can add to your Doodly assets that you already have. Plus, you'll learn Pamela's super simple method for creating literally hundreds of new Doodly assets using Microsoft PowerPoint. You'll even learn how to create an asset from a hand-drawn image you scribbled on a piece of your own paper. Now, in the 5th module, Pamela teaches you some really fun stuff that you're going to want to use all the time in your Doodly videos. You're going to learn how you can control the way a drawing comes to life with advanced drawing paths. You'll also discover how to add color to your assets, how to crop characters, and how to work with layered drawings. Plus, Pamela is going to show you how to add depth to your scenes by adding drop shadows to your text and to your images. Then it's on to the animation module. Here, you're going to learn how you can make assets fade in and out, how to create rolling credits, and how to make objects grow, shrink, shatter, fly, or reveal themselves slowly, one piece at a time. Finally, you're going to be ready for the last module of the course, and here's where you're going to learn how to create square and vertical videos that you can use on social media. You're also going to learn how you can display a regular video within a Doodly video, or vice versa. Plus, Pamela's going to show you advanced tactics for working with audio. For example, you'll discover how to prevent music from drowning out your voiceover, how you can add sound effects to your video, and how to shorten a music file so it fits your video without sounding like it cuts off abruptly. So that's a brief overview of just some of what's in the masterclass. It actually covers much more than that. And in case you're wondering, Pamela relies on Doodly for most of the stuff she teaches in the course. When she has to use other software to create an effect, she uses free software whenever possible. Bottom line, this course is going to be really valuable to you. Not only is it going to help you create Doodly videos that are even better than the ones you're creating now, but it's going to save you an absolute ton of time. Think about it. You won't have to bang your head against the wall, spending hours and hours trying to figure this stuff out on your own. You know, for a lot of people, that alone is going to make the course well worth your time. Okay, so you've heard me say the course is great, but I'm sure you're wondering what other people think about it. You'll be happy to hear that the course has gotten rave reviews from Doodly users just like you. Now, a few of them were so excited about the opportunity to learn directly from Pamela that they asked me if they could buy the course before I'd even made the course publicly accessible. I gave them early access, and so far the feedback has been absolutely amazing. Now, one person said, "I'm only on section 3, part 1, and already, thank you, thank you, thank you." And then another person commented saying, "I've learned so much and think it's well worth it." Alright, so by now you're probably wondering how you can get access to the Doodly Elite Masterclass. Well, I have great news for you. You can access the full 25 video Doodly Elite Masterclass by clicking on the button below this video. And all for a price that can easily pay for itself in just a few short minutes with all the additional customers and clients that your professional doodle videos will absolutely attract. And it's such an incredible value when you consider all the time and effort that Pamela put into creating this entire course. Videos, by the way, that are going to show you in great detail how to do tons and tons of really cool advanced things with Doodly. Things that are going to make your videos so much more engaging and help you propel your online business. That alone is going to make this very small one-time investment well worth it. But the videos aren't even the only thing you're going to get with the course. The course also comes with a special bonus, 15 additional files Pamela created that you can use alongside Doodly to save you even more time. These files are the same ones she uses throughout the course, and they're designed to make it easier for you to work with scenes and assets. So when you replicate the things you've learned in the course, you won't have to start from scratch. For example, when you're designing scenes or altering characters, you'll already have the tools Pamela created, making it easier and faster for you to do advanced things with Doodly. Now again, these are a free bonus that you'll get when you access the masterclass. So to gain access to the Doodly Elite Masterclass, just scroll below this video and click the button now. And let me tell you why you're not going to want to wait to do that. Now the course is brand new, and while I'm currently offering it for a low entry-level price, I was really on the fence about it. Honestly, the current price is much lower than the two prices that I've considered. So if the demand for the course is as overwhelming as I expect, we'll probably raise the price in the future, but by acting today, you're going to lock in the current low one-time price. So go ahead and click the order button below right now to learn how you can take your videos to the next level with advanced Doodly techniques. Once you've submitted your payment, you'll receive immediate online access to the entire course. Also, the time-saving bonus files I mentioned will be available in the lower right-hand corner of your screen once you reach the lesson they're used in. So thanks again for your time, everybody. I can't wait to check out your doodle videos after you've gone through the Doodly Elite Masterclass. Hey everyone, Brad Callen here, and I just want to share with you something I'm really excited about that's going to help take your doodle videos to that next level. It's called the Doodly Elite Masterclass. It was created by award-winning doodler Pamela Dimmick. Now, many of you probably know Pamela already from our Doodly Design Facebook group, as she's a frequent contributor there. She's also the only doodler user who's received multiple video awards from the annual Doodly Design Contest. Bottom line, she really knows her stuff, and because of that, it was a no-brainer to invest in the creation of the Doodly Elite Masterclass. Now, in the masterclass, Pamela shows you how to create super professional videos using all the advanced tips and tricks that would take most people months and maybe even years to uncover on their own. And I'm actually kind of embarrassed to admit, but even I learned things that you could do with Doodly that I had no idea you could do. These tips are going to help you create videos that are more professional, more visually stimulating, and far more engaging to your prospects, meaning they'll be shared more often, watched longer, and ultimately they're going to get you much better results. So let me tell you what you can expect from the course. Well, first off, it's not going to bore you with the basics. You can find all that stuff for free by checking out the Doodly tutorials that are already online. Instead, this course picks up where those tutorials left off, teaching you the most advanced training methods that you can use for creating absolutely incredible videos. And although the training methods are advanced, you'll find them very easy to follow because Pamela walks you through step by step through every single thing she does. Now, another reason you're going to love the course is because Pamela's devised all kinds of time-saving ways to do things using Doodly. With the course, you're basically being given the opportunity to peek over her shoulder so you can watch an expert doodler show you the best workarounds for stuff that very few people know about. So let me tell you what you're going to get inside the Doodly Elite Masterclass. Well, it consists of 25 videos divided into 7 modules that get progressively more advanced as you move forward throughout the course. The first module is an intro to get everybody up to speed and on the same page, and after that you're going to begin the asset management module. This module creates a solid foundation for what's to come later. Now, this is where you're going to learn everything that you need to know about managing assets and creating complex scenes. So for example, by timing characters and props to appear in a video at just the right moment so they correspond with your voiceover. Now, once you finish that, you're ready to move on to the backgrounds, sidebars, borders, and frame modules. These elements are crucial for making your videos really pop. So in this module, you're going to learn how to make a background or logo appear in every scene. You'll also learn fading techniques that you can use to lighten or darken a background sky, for example. Plus, you're going to discover how to create borders, frames, and sidebars to make your videos way more visually appealing. Now, the next module is asset sourcing, where you're going to learn how to source and create your own graphics, even if you can't draw a stick figure. Pamela's
buyer. Leverage has a lot of inputs, like time and necessity and competition. If you need to sell your house now, you have less leverage than if you don't have a deadline. If you want to sell it but don't have to, you have more. And if various people are bidding on it at once, good on you. I should note that leverage isn't the same thing as power. Donald Trump has tons of power. But if he's stranded in a desert and the owner of the only store for miles has the water he wants, the vendor has the leverage. One way to understand leverage is as a fluid that sloshes between the parties. As a negotiator, you should always be aware of which side, at any given moment, feels they have the most to lose if negotiations collapse. The party who feels they have more to lose and are the most afraid of that loss has less leverage, and vice versa. To get leverage, you have to persuade your counterpart that they have something real to lose if the deal falls through. At a taxonomic level, there are three kinds: positive, negative, and normative. Positive leverage. Positive leverage is quite simply your ability as a negotiator to provide or withhold things that your counterpart wants. Whenever the other side says, "I want," as in, "I want to buy your car," you have positive leverage. When they say that, you have power. You can make their desire come true, you can withhold it and thereby inflict pain, or you can use their desire to get a better deal with another party. Here's an example. 3 months after you put your business on the market, a potential buyer finally tells you, "Yes, I'd like to buy it." You're thrilled, but a few days later, your joy turns to disappointment when he delivers an offer so low it's insulting. This is the only offer you have, so what do? Now, hopefully, you've had contact with other buyers, even casually. If you have, you can use the offer to create a sense of competition, and thereby kick off a bidding war. At least you'll force them to make a choice. But even if you don't have other offers, or the interested buyer is your first choice, you have more power than before your counterpart revealed his desire. You control what they want. That's why experienced negotiators delay making offers. They don't want to give up leverage. Positive leverage should improve your psychology during negotiation. You've gone from a situation where you want something from the investor to a situation where you both want something from each other. Once you have it, you can then identify other things your opponent wants. Maybe he wants to buy your firm over time. Help him do that, if he'll increase the price. Maybe his offer is all the money he has. Help him get what he wants, your business, by saying you can only sell him 75% for his offer. Negative leverage. Negative leverage is what most civilians picture when they hear the word leverage. It's a negotiator's ability to make his counterpart suffer, and it is based on threats. You have negative leverage if you can tell your counterpart, "If you don't fulfill your commitment, pay your bill, etc., I will destroy your reputation." This sort of leverage gets people's attention because of a concept we've discussed: loss aversion. As effective negotiators have long known, and psychologists have repeatedly proved, potential losses loom larger in the human mind than do similar gains. Getting a good deal may push us toward making a risky bet, but saving our reputation from destruction is a much stronger motivation. So what kind of black swans do you look to be aware of as negative leverage? Effective negotiators look for pieces of information, often obliquely revealed, that show what is important to their counterpart. Who is their audience? What signifies status and reputation to them? What most worries them? To find this information, one method is to go outside the negotiating table and speak to a third party that knows your counterpart. The most effective method is to gather it from interactions with your counterpart. That said, a word of warning. I do not believe in making direct threats, and am extremely careful with even subtle ones. Threats can be like nuclear bombs. There will be a toxic residue that will be difficult to clean up. You have to handle the potential of negative consequences with care, or you will hurt yourself and poison or blow up the whole process. If you shove your negative leverage down your counterpart's throat, it might be perceived as you taking away their autonomy. People will often sooner die than give up their autonomy. They'll at least act irrationally and shut off the negotiation. A more subtle technique is to label your negative leverage and thereby make it clear without attacking. Sentences like, "It seems like you strongly value the fact that you've always paid on time," or, "It seems like you don't care what position you are leaving me in," can really open up the negotiation process. Normative leverage. Every person has a set of rules and a moral framework. Normative leverage is using the other party's norms and standards to advance your position. If you can show inconsistencies between their beliefs and their actions, you have normative leverage. No one likes to look like a hypocrite. For example, if your counterpart lets slip that they generally pay a certain multiple of cash flow when they buy a company, you can frame your desired price in a way that reflects that valuation. Discovering the black swans that give you normative valuation can be as easy as asking what your counterpart believes and listening openly. You want to see what language they speak and speak it back to them. Know their religion. In March 2003, I led the negotiation with a farmer who became one of the most unlikely post-9/11 terrorists you can imagine. The drama started when Dwight Watson, a North Carolina tobacco grower, hooked up his Jeep to a John Deere tractor festooned with banners and an inverted U.S. flag and towed it to Washington, D.C. to protest government policies he thought were putting tobacco farmers out of business. When Watson got to the Capitol, he pulled his tractor into a pond between the Washington Monument and the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and threatened to blow it up with the organophosphate bombs he claimed were inside. The Capitol went into lockdown as the police blocked off an 8-block area from the Lincoln Memorial to the Washington Monument. Coming just months after the Beltway sniper attacks and alongside the buildup to the Iraq War, the ease with which Watson threw the nation's capital into turmoil freaked people out. Talking on his cell phone, Watson told the Washington Post that he was on a do-or-die mission to show how reduced subsidies were killing tobacco farmers. He told the Post that God had instructed him to stage his protest, and he wasn't going to leave. "If this is the way America will be run, the hell with it," he said. "I will not surrender. They can blow me out of the water. I'm ready to go to heaven." The FBI deployed me to a converted RV on the National Mall, where I was to guide a team of
Best of the
FBI
software out
agents
there.
and
I still have yet to
police
see
as we
anything
tried
else
to
that
talk
competes
Watson
with
out
it,
of killing
so
himself
it has to be the
and who
best.
knows
It
how many
dominates this
others.
category.
And then we got down to business.
Today we're going to take a
Like you'd expect of a negotiation with a guy threatening to destroy a good part of the U.S. Capitol, it was righteously tense. Sharpshooters had weapons trained on Watson, and they had the green light to shoot if he made any crazy moves. In any negotiation, but especially in a tense one like this, it's not how well you speak, but how well you listen that determines your success. Understanding the other is a precondition to be able to speak persuasively and develop options that resonate for them. There is the visible negotiation, and then all the things that are hidden under the surface, the secret negotiation space wherein the black swans dwell. Access to this hidden space very often comes through understanding the other side's worldview, their reason for being, their religion. Indeed, digging into your counterpart's religion, sometimes involving God, but not always, inherently implies moving beyond the negotiating table and into the life, emotional and otherwise, of your counterpart. Once you've understood your counterpart's worldview, you can build influence. That's why, as we talked with Watson, I spent my energy trying to unearth who he was rather than logically arguing him into surrender. From this, we learned that Watson had been finding it increasingly hard to make a living on his 1,200-acre tobacco farm, which had been in his family for 5 generations. After being hit by a drought and having his crop quota cut by half, Watson decided he couldn't afford the farm anymore and drove to Washington to make his point. He wanted attention, and knowing what he wanted gave us positive leverage. Watson also told us he was a veteran, and veterans had rules. This is the kind of music you want to hear, as it provides normative leverage. He told us that he would be willing to surrender, but not right away. As a military police officer in the 82nd Airborne in the 1970s, he'd learned that if he was trapped behind enemy lines, he could withdraw with honor if reinforcements didn't arrive within 3 days, but not before. Now, we had articulated rules we could hold him to, and the admission that he could withdraw also implied that, despite his bluster about dying, he wanted to live. One of the first things you try to decide in a hostage negotiation is whether your counterpart's vision of the future involves them living, and Watson had answered yes. We used this information, a piece of negative leverage, as we could take away something he wanted, life, and started working it alongside the positive leverage of his desire to be heard. We emphasized to Watson that he had already made national news, and if he wanted his message to survive, he was going to have to live. Watson was smart enough to understand that there was a real chance he wouldn't make it out alive, but he still had his rules of military honor. His own desires and fears helped generate some positive and negative leverage, but they were secondary to the norms by which he lived his life. It was tempting to just wait until the third day, but I doubted we'd get that far. With each passing hour, the atmosphere was growing tenser. The capital was under siege, and we had reason to believe he might have explosives. If he made one wrong move, one spastic freakout, the snipers would kill him. He'd already had several angry outbursts, so every hour that passed endangered him. He could still get himself killed. But we couldn't hit on that at all. We couldn't threaten to kill him and expect that to work. The reason for that is something called the paradox of power. Namely, the harder we push, the more likely we are to be met with resistance. That's why you have to use negative leverage sparingly. Still, time was short and we had to speed things up. But how? What happened next was one of those glorious examples of how deeply listening to understand your counterpart's worldview can reveal a black swan that transforms a negotiation dynamic. Watson didn't directly tell us what we needed to know, but by close attention we uncovered a subtle truth that informed everything he said. About 36 hours in, Winnie Miller, an FBI agent on our team who'd been listening intently to subtle references Watson had been making, turned to me. "He's a devout Christian," she told me. "Tell him tomorrow is the dawn of the third day. That's the day Christians believe Jesus Christ left his tomb and ascended to heaven. If Christ came out on the dawn of the third day, why not Watson?" It was a brilliant use of deep listening. By combining that subtext of Watson's words with the knowledge of his worldview, she let us show Watson that we not only were listening, but that we had also heard him. If we'd understood his subtext correctly, this would let him end the standoff honorably, and to do so with the feeling that he was surrendering to an adversary that respected him and his beliefs. By positioning your demands within the worldview your counterpart uses to make decisions, you show them respect, and that gets you attention and results. Knowing your counterpart's religion is more than just gaining normative leverage per se. Rather, it's gaining a holistic understanding of your counterpart's worldview. In this case, literally a religion, and using that knowledge to inform your negotiating moves. Using your counterpart's religion is extremely effective in large part because it has authority over them. The other guy's religion is what the market, the experts, God, or society, whatever matters to him, has determined to be fair and just, and people defer to that authority. In the next conversation with Watson, we mentioned that the next morning was the dawn of the third day. There was a long moment of silence on the other end of the line. Our negotiation operations center was so quiet you could hear the heartbeat of the guy next to you.
Look at the updated version of Doodly. The last time we checked out this software on my channel was about a year ago, or maybe a little bit more. And since then, Doodly has made like a ton of changes, and I definitely think it's worth a second look. If you're new here, my name is Jen Jager. I have a professional video production company, and I have this YouTube channel where I like review products like this and give you production advice and growing on YouTube advice. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, hit that subscribe button. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tour of the updated Doodly software, give you a couple demos of a couple new features, and if you're interested in like a really serious tutorial, I do have on my website a Doodly in-depth tutorial I'm calling the Genius Track, where you're actually going to be like, it's almost like you're sitting next to me and I'm showing you step by step my entire workflow, how I create a video on Doodly. So if you're interested in a more advanced, intermediate to advanced tutorial, come on over to jenjager.com. I'll also link it below and check that out. But first, let's just hop into Doodly and I'll show you how it works if you're new to it and what's different if you've seen it before. All right, so here we are signed into Doodly. Now let's just take it from the top and create a new video. Now, one of the first things I want to show you is that in addition to a whiteboard background, a chalkboard background that comes in like a black or like an old school green chalkboard look, or a custom background where you can put any color or upload your own image, there's this new, I think it's new, it's a glassboard feature. So it's almost like you're on the other side of a glass pane and someone's writing on the glass. It's a really modern look and I do like it a lot. We'll look at that in a second, but first I just kind of want to take you through the traditional whiteboard style. So that's what I'm going to select. We're going to change our dimensions to 1080, and I'm just going to call this Doodly 2020 review. Okay, and here is the interface on Doodly. Let's just take a quick tour of this software. Over here on the left, you have all of your assets that come pre-programmed into Doodly. Now, I'm on the $67 one-time fee version of Doodly. They run this special from time to time. As of this recording, it's going on hot right now, and I think a lot of people are grabbing it. So this is what you're going to get with that $67 version. Now, over here, you have your characters, you have scenes, tons of scenes, lots of characters, people. You have props, and you can actually search here for anything. So let's search for like a dog, and here we go. Here's our dog. Now there's other dogs. I can see this is a Chihuahua here. This is locked, I believe, because of the version that I'm on, or we can actually purchase this graphic in a multi-pack, which I will show you in a little bit. We've got our fonts here. Now these three are three that come pre-installed with Doodly, and these two are ones that I uploaded. So one of the things Doodly can do is that you can import your own fonts to work within this program, which is really good. If you're like me and you have tons of fonts and you want to use all the fonts you have, you're not happy with what comes with Doodly, there's unlimited fonts that you can bring into Doodly, which is really good. You also have what they call sounds. So there's tons of royalty-free music tracks that Doodly has licensed for you. And again, there's some that are not included on the version of Doodly that I am on. But we can also import our own. And then here is the marketplace. Let's click that marketplace button, and it brings us to a website, and they have bundles. So they are curated bundles of images that you can purchase for your Doodly project. And there's so many of them. And they're, like I said, they're curated. So this one's nature, this one's natural disasters. So they really try to think about what a user might need and include lots of images in one bundle. Let's look at this male expression. This package is $27. Now you might be curious why these guys are in color and the illustrations we're seeing in our Doodly package are in black and white. Let me explain. There's an upgrade now. This is one of the new features that Doodly has done. An upgrade, it's called the Rainbow Pack. And what it allows you to do is to make the assets color just by turning on and off this Doodly rainbow button. Now, again, this is an upgrade that I did spring for because I really wanted to see how it worked. Now, if you go over here, here is our canvas. So we chose the whiteboard option. So if we were to drop something in, this is where we're building our frame, and we can zoom out so we can see that this is the dimensions that we chose for our project at the beginning. Over here on the right is all of your actions. So this is how you can determine the timing of your illustration. So you can increase this number here to delay how soon the character comes on. And then you can, in this duration tab, adjust how long it takes to draw on. So you can really time things out. And one of the things I really do like about this is that the increments of the durations are really small. So it's not like 1 second at a time. You really can like fine tune. And that's actually not true with every software I looked at. So I really do appreciate this on Doodly. Now here at the bottom is probably the most important area. This is our timeline. So this is like a visual representation of how our video is going to be sequenced together. This is where you add in your voiceover by clicking this little button here. You can add music. These are your scenes. You can add new scenes. Just do that here. So we can add as many scenes as we want. And then this little magic button is the camera feature. Now, this is a new feature for Doodly, and in my mind, it's a bit of a game changer. A camera in a software like this basically means that you can zoom in, zoom out, pan in, pan left or right or up or down on any given area of your canvas, and it looks like, it's not like cutting scenes. This happens, then that scene goes away, and the next scene comes in. You can go from this scene to that scene and just like zoom in and out, and honestly, it really elevates the look of your project. This is something Doodly did not have before, and in my mind is a huge improvement. So I was so happy to see that they added that, because cameras in any of the softwares I work with, they're one of my like main go-tos for kind of adding a little more spice or life to any project. So I'm just going to do a quick demo for you guys here. Let's first start with dropping in a scene. I'm just gonna grab this one here, and I just want to show you that the scene is like pre-designed for you, but all of these elements are individual. So every single one of these chairs is customizable in the way that I can shrink it, make it bigger, reposition it, or I can just delete it if there's like too many chairs around this table. So I'm gonna get rid of this entirely. And let's demo a character. Let's get this guy Adam here. He's frustrated. I can flip Adam back and forth. I can go under the settings button, change his opacity. I can change the way he comes onto the screen. So he can either just be there, or I can have him draw on. The duration of his drawing on is 3 seconds. And then what I can do is I can have him erase, and I can change the duration of how long it takes to erase him as well. Let's hit apply. And let's preview this. This is a new button that Doodly has. And to show you what I really like about this, I'm going to drop in a voiceover into this timeline. This voiceover has absolutely nothing to do with what we're working on, but it's just to show you what has changed in Doodly in terms of their previewing and really matching up your audio with your visual. So let me just show you really quick how it works. I'm just going to click on over to this show preview button, and you can see this screen has popped up. And now keep your eye here on my voiceover at the bottom. You can see here I can scrub with this playhead and go back and forth and see the action as it's happening. And then the voiceover gets highlighted so I can see exactly where I am in my voiceover. So let's just do a quick preview and see how this looks. That to me is a really important feature that was missing in the old version of Doodly. So I was ecstatic to see that. I think it's going to be really helpful for you guys when you're trying to really create a longer format video where you're very specific about matching your visuals with your audios, which, if you're a really kind of more experienced creator, that's probably very important to you, just like it is to me. So I was really happy to see that. Now I want to show you a trick for coloring in a character. This only works if you have the rainbow pack. So first what we want to do is we want to start with choosing a character. Let's just choose Adam, arms up. We're going to drop him in. I'm going to make him a little bigger. And then what I'm going to do is hit this rainbow button and turn the rainbow on. And I'm going to take the color version of Adam and I'm going to drop him in as well. And I'm also going to scale him up. And I'm going to match him up perfectly size-wise.
Be honest, do you really want to watch a video that looks like this? There's a good reason why presenters use images and visualizations while they talk, because it's what makes people pay attention. With a doodly animation, your audience will pay much more attention than just you speaking to a camera. It looks much more professional, it's incredibly easy, and you just need a one-time, low-cost license. With tens of thousands of users around the world, there's no limit to what you can use Doodly for. You can make ads and marketing, create presentations, spice up your lessons, entertain people, and you can even add in your own images and show the hand how to draw it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Killen. I have my own medical practice, and I've been using Doodly now for a few weeks to create these really fun videos to share with patients, prospective patients on social media. I've also done some presentations for some different meetings and things that I've been involved with, and it's super fun. I have to stop myself from using it too often because I really like it. So anyway, Doodly's really been great and easy to use and a lot of fun. So that's it. Thanks.
Hi, Jeff Newman, Rome Training here to represent Doodly. A great idea, great product. Really brings in a lot of interest and curiosity. You can't get it anywhere else, so different. I've increased my revenues 2 times anyways. People are asking me all types of questions. How do you do that? You are so unique. Doodly, it's the way to go, and I highly recommend it. I'm proud owner of their application. Thank you so much.
You know what's really awesome about Doodly is I cannot draw a straight line to save my life, and everyone here at my institution thinks I'm a freaking genius and just cannot figure out how I made that video. Is that your hand? How do you do that? I mean, really smart people that should know there's a tool for it have no idea, and they think I'm a genius. And that's why Doodly is the best frickin' software in the universe.
And the best part about Doodly is you buy it now for a one-time fee of $67 and you use it forever. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, but once you use it, there's no way you'll want to give it up. It won't stay at $67 for long, so get it now and create and get creating. Click here to get Doodly. People won't believe you made this yourself. Click and download now.
Hey, I'm Talon, and this is Ruffus, and I'm going to show you how to start an online t-shirt business. Let's go. First, go to Shopify.
So what's going to happen here is that we're going to draw on the black and white version, and we're going to then color him in. Now what I want to do is open up the settings for this black and white version, because I want to make sure his exit animation is on none, because I don't want him to be erased. I just want the outline to stay, and then I want it to color in. Let's try that preview. So he's getting drawn in, and he's getting colored in. So that's how you get that cool color in effect. Now let's work with those camera moves. Let me show you how they work. Let's go on over to the timeline. I'm going to hit the plus sign and double click this little bar that shows up. Here's this window. Basically, what it does is it shows us in our viewfinder here, where the camera's going to start and where it's going to end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the effect zoom out. So it's going to start tighter on a tighter shot, our area that's highlighted here, and then it's going to end on this wider shot. I actually want it to be full because I want to see the entire character. So let's hit apply and just see how that looks. Show preview. And so you can see that happen pretty quickly. If I wanted it to extend for the duration of my scene, I'm just gonna grab that bar and slide it. Now that zoom out is going to happen a lot slower. It's gonna go the whole duration of my scene. Let's try it again. Really cool. Now, that's a very basic camera move and a very basic way to use the camera. Again, in my Doodly Genius track at my website, I get much more detailed into cameras and how to use them. So if you're interested in that, or if you've tried the camera feature and you're like not getting the hang of it, hop on over to my website. Just want to go over with you a few more features of Doodly in terms of changing the way things get drawn in. One thing is that you notice that the hand we're using is wearing a sweater. There's so many options for hands. Let's go on over to the settings tab over here, and you can see that there's many different types of hands, women's hands, men's hands, more close-up, that you can use to draw on your scenes. You can also do left-handed, which is pretty cool. The other thing that Doodly has added is this cartoon hand feature. So now there are different cartoon illustrated hands that can draw on your illustration. So you can go like full-blown cartoon if you want. Now let's look at that glassboard look, because to me, I loved this. This is what I was talking about, where the hand will face the camera instead of the other way around. Let's just hit apply and I'll show you what that looks like in this particular drawing. And what's cool, I don't know if you noticed, the image is transparent where the hand is behind it. And I think that's like a very elevated look. I do like that very much. Another feature that Doodly has, it had it before and it still has it now, and it is still one of my favorite features because I do think it gives you a lot of control, is what's called custom paths. So when you have an asset that comes with Doodly, the hand already knows how to draw it in. But if you bring in your own asset, Doodly just defaults to this like left to right scribble instead of like really drawing something in a really accurate way or realistic way. You know, if you were going to draw someone's face, you might start with their eyes, but Doodly would start with like the top left corner of their head. Do you know what I mean? So it's really nice to be able to tell Doodly, this is the way you go to draw something on. So I just want to show you really quick how it works because it's great. I'm first going to import my own asset. So I'm going to go over to props. I'm going to hit this blue crossbar here and browse files. I'm going to bring in this computer screen image. All right, and it's dropped right into my canvas. And so if I want to modify this, the custom path, actually first let me show you how it defaults to coming on. So you see it just scribbles left to right. That's not what I want. Let's hide the preview. I'm going to click on this computer screen. I'm going to hit this little pencil tab, and it's going to bring me here. If you look at the top right, this is how the computer defaults to drawing in. It just kind of loops and shows you what's going on. So what I want to do is create a custom path by hitting this plus button, and I'm just going to click along the way here, all the way around the edge of my computer, because this is how I want it to start drawing on. Now, if you look at the preview window, you can see that it's a very skinny line. It's definitely not showing my entire outline of my computer. So what I want to do is increase the path size. And then what I can do is make adjustments to these keyframes. And And there we go. Now what I can do is, so that's one path. Now I'd like to add a new path. So the second path, I'm going to have draw in the base of the computer. So it's going to outline, and then I'm going to have it zigzag in to fill it in. Then I can play with these keyframes, and the trick is to get everything in your image somehow under the red highlight, because otherwise it'll never get drawn in. It'll just pop on when the hand is done drawing. Close all these gaps. All right, and then next, so you can see in the preview window, we go around the border and then it scribbles in. Next new path. If I really wanted to, I could get super detailed with this screen. I'm not going to take the time to do that, but it would be kind of cool if I made all of these bar graphs zoom in. All right, so I'm going to hit save and return, and let's preview this baby. That looks good, right? I love that custom path feature. It's makes everything look so great. All right, so let's talk about Doodly, what I like and what I dislike about it. The things I really love, first of all, the camera feature now, like I said, total game changer, huge fan of that. I really think they did a great job. I love that you can import your own images, you can import your own fonts, and so you can really take, you know, the standard Doodly package and really bring it to life. I like that they curated in the marketplace all of the different bundles of images. It's nice just to have like a curated package of images that are really relevant to whatever video content you're making. So I did like that. I feel like the prices were a little high, especially if you're spending only $67 for the whole software and then like another $30 for every bundle. Seemed a little high to me, but I do like the idea of it. I love that they added the color option with the rainbow pack. I definitely think that one is actually worth the extra money, in my opinion, because you can really easily, with the Doodly assets, you can really easily color things in super simply, and it's a really cute effect. I love the custom paths as always. I love the new glassboard look. I think it just looks so sharp and modern, and so I'm a huge fan of that as well. And the other thing I, of course, really loved was the new show preview button, where you could really just scrub through your timeline and figure out exactly where your video was visually in relation to your audio waveforms. That sort of control and insight into what's going on in your timeline is so valuable to a creator like me. If I really had a nitpick about what I would change, I think I could suggest a few more improvements if the Doodly guys were interested in what I had to say. I wish that you could toggle between the colored in version of your illustration and just the black and white version once you drop something into your canvas. You kind of have to decide before you add something to a scene whether or not you want the color or black and white version. And I have to say, I kind of wish that you could make that decision more on the fly and not have to go back and rebuild and readjust. You know, I think that would be a nice, I would think, an easy feature to add. The other thing that I wish could be improved upon was with that glassboard look that I love. I wish you could drop a background into the glassboard look, because I had this idea where I wanted to show someone's like kind of like their shoulder, so it looked like someone was actually standing there writing in, and I couldn't do that with the glassboard look, and that was kind of a bummer. I think that would have been really great. The other thing that I do kind of wish Doodly would offer is a different style of asset. This is something that you see a lot, like I think like Beyond comes to mind, where they had just had different styles of assets, so it wasn't always the same look every time. Now with Doodly, you can import anything into your project, so you can source files in the aesthetic that you want, even if it's like real photos or like more sleek, kind of cool images. Like this computer I got here is something I brought in on my own. And I just wish that they would kind of like, I guess the term is like advance the story a little bit. Like what's next for graphic design? You know, these tools are great, but they're a very specific look. And I think this cool like drawing in whiteboard technology software could just kind of elevate itself a little bit. I kind of want Doodly to move forward with what's next in design. So that is something that I think that could be improved upon, even though you can bring in your own assets. I almost like when I did my, you know, the Genius Track tutorial video, I didn't use any of the Doodly assets because I wanted something that was like a really cool, specific looking look. And I just felt like, you know, the Doodly illustrations just weren't doing it for me. But I could still make what I wanted out of it. So I'm not trying to say that the software isn't sufficient. It's just, I think it would be nice not to have to go out and source my own images and really be satisfied with what Doodly was offering to me. I also wish that you could change the colors of the assets in the rainbow pack. So in other softwares, you can change someone's shirt color, pants color, you know, stuff like that. And there's no control with the rainbow pack. It's either this set of colors or no colors. So I think that could be improved upon as well. But honestly, guys, other than that, I think that Doodly has really, really stepped up with a lot of these new features. To me, it's definitely like a software I liked before, but now I really can see a lot more uses for it in my professional life. So I'm definitely going to give the new Doodly version and all the upgrades they put in and still kept it that $67 price. If the special's running when you're watching this, I have to give that a big thumbs up. So I really appreciate Brad over at Doodly calling my attention to what's changed in this software, because it definitely was worth a second look. If you want to take that Doodly Genius Track class where I show you how to do everything in Doodly to make a really cool video where I source millions of images for free, how I make really cool camera moves, my entire pre-production and edit workflow, decades of experience, how I do a really efficient workflow to get an idea in my head and then turn it around and actually execute on it in real life. Check out my website, jenjager.com. Thank you so much for watching this. If you want to buy Doodly, I have a link down below in the description, and I hope you guys have a great week.
a standoff, saving himself from harm, and allowing the nation's capital to resume its normal life. No explosives were found. While the importance of knowing their religion should be clear from Watson's story, here are 2 tips for reading religion correctly. Review everything you hear. You will not hear everything the first time, so double-check. Compare notes with your team members. You will often discover new information that will help you advance the negotiation. Use backup listeners whose only job is to listen between the lines. They will hear things you miss. In other words, listen, listen again, and listen some more. We've seen how a holistic understanding of your counterpart's religion, a huge black swan, can provide normative leverage that leads to negotiating results. But there are other ways in which learning your counterpart's religion enables you to achieve better outcomes. The similarity principle. Research by social scientists has confirmed something effective negotiators have known for ages. Namely, we trust people more when we view them as being similar or familiar. People trust those who are in their in-group. Belonging is a primal instinct, and if you can trigger that instinct, that sense that, oh, we see the world the same way, then you immediately gain influence. When our counterpart displays attitudes, beliefs, ideas, even modes of dress that are similar to our own, we tend to like and trust them more. Similarities as shallow as club memberships or college alumni status increase rapport. That's why in many cultures, negotiators spend large amounts of time building rapport before they even think of offers. Both sides know that the information they glean could be vital to effective deal-making and leverage building. It's a bit like dogs circling each other, smelling each other's behind. I once worked a deal for our services with this CEO in Ohio, where the similarity principle played a major role. My counterpart was constantly making references that I recognized as being sort of born-again Christian material. As we talked, he kept going back